Hare Krishna. Here we go. I'm just about to share my slide and off you go now, Mataji. Haribo.
Okay. Yeah. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य
Jnanatirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं
चक्षुरुन्मीलितं
येन
येन
तस्मै
तस्मै
श्रीगुरुवे
श्रीगुरुवे
नमः।
नमः।
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं
स्थापितं येन
येन
भूतले
भूतले
स्वयं
स्वयं
रूपः
रूपं
कदा
कदा
मह्यं ददाति
ददाति
स्वपदान्तिकम्
स्वपदान्तिकम्।
वन्देऽहं
वन्देऽहं
श्रीगुरुन्
श्रीगुरुपदकमलं
श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन्
श्रीगुरुं
वैष्णवं
वैष्णवं
च
च
श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथं वितं सजीवं
साद्वैतं सवधूतं
साद्वैतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान्तः ललिता श्रीविशाखावितंश्च हे
हे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा
करुणा
करुणा
सिन्धु
सिन्धु
दीनबन्धु
दीनबन्धु
जगत्पते
जगत्पते
गोपेश
गोपेश
गोपिका
गोपिका
कान्त
कान्ता राधा
राधाकान्त
कान्ता नमस्तुते
ते तप्त
तप्त काञ्चा
कञ्चन गौराङ्गी
गौराङ्गे
राधे
राधे
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
वृषभानुसुते
वृषभानुसुते
देवी
देवी
प्रणमामि
प्रणमामि
हरिप्रिये
हरिप्रिये
वञ्चकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव
सिन्धुभ्यैव
च पतितानां
पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो
पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो
नमो
नमो
नमः।
नमः। नमो
जय
विष्णुपदाय
कृष्ण पृष्ठाय
कृष्णपृष्ठाय
भूतले
भूतले
श्रीमते
श्रीमते
भक्ति वेदांत
भक्तिवेदान्त
स्वामिनिति
स्वामिनिति
नामिने
नामिने।
नमस्ते
नमस्ते
सरस्वती
सरस्वते देवे
देवे गौरवाणी
गौरवाणी
चारिणे
प्रचारिणे
निर्विशेष
निर्विशेष
शून्यवादी
शून्यवादी
पाश्चात्य
पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे।
देशतारिणे जय
जय
श्री
श्री
कृष्ण
कृष्ण चैतन्य
चैतन्य
प्रभु
प्रभु नित्यानंद
नित्यानंद
श्री
श्री
अद्वैत
अद्वैत
गदाधर
गदाधर
श्रीवासादि
श्रीवासादि
गौर
गौर
भक्त
भक्तवृंद।
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
कृष्णा
हरे
हरे
कृष्णा
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 हरे
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 राम
राम हरे राम राम
राम
राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Bol. Right. Welcome, everyone. Now, just to let you know that this session is getting recorded, and I hope each one of you have seen one of those what you could see on the screen now, right? So this session, or if I say this series, is where we are going to do Bhagavad Gita 18 chapters in 18 sessions, right? Today is the first session, so we're going to have going forward 17 more sessions, and the plan is that we will cover one chapter in each session. It's going to be like a crash course, so it's going to be a bit faster than what we usually do. So some of you might have attended some of my sessions before, where we usually go very detailed. Here we will try to give the taster to all those who usually don't come to the regular ones, right? So these are kind of special ones. But feel free, because we are going to have the interactive sessions. All the slides which I will share with you, I will share with you today during the session. I will share with you those slides later on as well. So you don't need to make any screenshots. You don't need to make any notes as such, but feel free, you will have all of them at the end with you. Haribo. Now, I got the chat open. As I said, the session is getting recorded. Any question, if anybody got, feel free to raise your virtual hand or ask in the chat, And I got a bit of poll as well. So we will go along and we will do that as well. So in brief, this is what it is. Now, considering that, as I said, we are going to do one chapter each session. Now, every session is going to be very important. Every session is going to be very unique. However, doesn't matter if you have missed one, you could always catch up on the next one, because these sessions are going to get recorded and I will share the link with you later on. So what we're going to do, so as I said, this is the series. So in this series, we are going to do 18 chapters, 18 sessions. When are we going to do it? We are going to do it every Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. UK time. I understand there are people from different places, but if you think of the UK time, I say UK time because I know somebody did say from Paris, somebody from Middle East, and somebody from India. Now the UK time is going to change in a couple of weeks' time. So then I will reschedule. But at the moment, the difference between UK and Paris, London and Paris is 1 hour. And then from UK and India, UK and UAE, 3 hours. And then from UK to India, 4.5 hours, right? Now, how are we going to do it? We're going to do it like this, online on Zoom. If there's a new link, I will share that with you, but hopefully this link will work as good as any, right? How are we going to do it? So I have some slides prepared and I'm going to share those slides and we're going to have some discussion. So based on, so for example, we're going to have 1 hour. We have a lot of quizzes in between. So I think there are 4 or 5 quizzes today itself, and it's going to become in the form of a poll. And you just need to select different options. And we are going to do very first one very soon. Even before we will start, we will have a taster of the quiz. Right. Again, as I said, I'm going to share these slides with you. So don't burn your energy taking the screenshots. Why are we doing it? And what is Bhagavad Gītā? These are 2 things we will cover in the introduction before we will get into chapter 1. Right. Any question to anyone? There are 13 participants, excluding me, there are 12. If anybody has any question, feel free to ask now. And if you want to put your cameras on, like Murli Mohan has just done, feel free to do that.
Prabhuji, these classes are only for adults or kids can also join?
Haribol, thank you so much, Mataji. These classes are for adults and kids. Both will get equal benefit out of it. Right? My analogy is hopefully going to benefit both children and kids. As you know, we have done adult classes during lockdown. We completed the whole Bhagavad Gita, and we are doing regular ones with children every Sunday, 6 p.m. anyways. So these sessions going to combine both, where we are going to have, as I said, 18 chapters, 18 sessions series. All right, Haribol. So if there's no more question, and we go Krish Prabhuji there with the kids in the car. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Hare Bol. Okay, so as I said, the very first quiz is about the audience. So just to know a bit more, I've just launched that on your screen. So on your screen, if you see, you have few questions. If you just answer those, this will let us know where we are in terms of audience. So there are only four questions. So hopefully it will not take time. But obviously, if some of you are on your iPhone or as Prabhuji is in the car, if you don't see it, if it's too big or too small, don't worry about it. But if you can, I will let you know. The first question, how many chapters are there in Bhagavad Gita? And I have given 4 options. Okay, I can see the responses, which is great. How many chapters are there in the Bhagavad Gita? Okay, is this okay? The very first.
Prabhuji, I think the first question should be how many verses?
That's right. Thank you, Mataji. Very apt. The first question is actually how many verses are there in Bhagavad Gita? And everybody going for 700. And the second one, how many chapters are there in Bhagavad Gita? 18. Everybody said so far. Which scripture Bhagavad Gita is part of? Okay. Shall I give the answer? How often should we read Bhagavad Gita? Haribol. Okay. So let me just say Hare Krishna Mahamantra once, and then I will come back and I will review the answers or will share. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So rather than counting 1, 2, 3, we just do Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And I'm going to end the polling now. And I'm going to share the results with everyone if you would like to see. So you could see, except the last one, which could be your personal choice, but rest of those 3 highlighted in red, most of you answered that and you got it right. 700 verses in Bhagavad Gita, 18 chapters in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. And we should actually read Bhagavad Gita daily, but of course, it's a priority if you have weekly, monthly, or if you just want to read Gita Jayanti. But of course, we will prefer daily. Great. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop that. Haribol. So similar one. This was just to understand where the audience is coming from. And audience is currently very educated. Now the second one, it says the introduction presentation. So I'm going to stop my sharing and I'm going to share the other presentation which I have ready for you, which is on introduction. Now, the introduction itself is not as such part of Bhagavad Gita if you think about it. This introduction is not in Bhagavad Gita, but this introduction is about Bhagavad Gita, which tells you maybe why we should do this, why Bhagavad Gita is so important, right? And if you haven't put your head together yet, here we go. So I guess you can see my screen now. Yes, Haribol, thank you. I could see some thumbs up, which is great. Hare Krishna. So in introduction, we can see, and I'm going to skim some of the slides very quick, but I'm going to share these slides with you. So you will have all that with you. By an introduction, we explains the glories of Bhagavad Gita, why we should read Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita? What is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? And the 5 main topics of Bhagavad Gita, right? These are the main things we will learn about Bhagavad Gita. Now, the glories of Bhagavad Gita given in many Puranas, but in Padma Purana, Gita Mahatma is given. And I'm just going to read the very first one, but there are many of those verses explaining why we should read Bhagavad Gita. So the very first translation, if I will read, it says, one who with a regulated mind recites with devotion this Bhagavad Gita scripture, which is the bestower of all virtue, will attain to a holy abode, such as Vaikuntha, the residence of Lord Vishnu, which is always free from mundane qualities based on fear and lamentation. So if you think about these 2 main things, fear and lamentation, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't if we will read Bhagavad Gita. And currently, so this is the reference we get in Padma Purana. And as I said, there are many verses which you can read in your own time. But what do we have here is to understand what is actually Bhagavad Gita. Now, there are many different ways how can we understand what is Bhagavad Gita. Some people say this is a user manual for the mankind. Now, user manual? Have you bought washing machine, a car, any electric device, any electronic device? If you have, how to use that effectively? You do need to refer it to the user manual. Now, Krishna has given us this human body, right? How to make good use of it, the best use of it, the efficient use of this is by reading Bhagavad Gita. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we understand how we should utilize the time we have in hand with this human body given. And it says that this is the essence of all the Vedic literature. Now we have the Vedas, we have the Upanishads, we have the Puranas. We don't have enough time to do all that. But the essence of all that Vedic wisdom is given in Bhagavad Gita. And that's why we should read Bhagavad Gita. And this is what Bhagavad Gita is. Bhagavad Gita as such is what we say, Bhagwan and Gita is the song of the Lord. And it is indeed most widely read Vedic literature, if you think about. Now, On this slide, it tells you a lot about Shruti and Smriti. Now, Shruti in Hindi or in Sanskrit is what we hear. Now, if we have heard directly from Krishna, directly from Lord, then we call it Shruti. But if somebody will hear that and remember that and then let somebody else know, that's called Smriti. Shruti, when you hear from yourself, Smriti, when you remember it and then tell somebody else. Now there is a question which is going to come. What is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is part of Smriti because Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata. And Mahabharata is part of Itihasa. Hare Krishna Avni. Hare Bol. So good to see you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Mahabharata is part of Itihasa. Mahabharata is a Smriti, but because Bhagavad Gita was said by Krishna, Bhagavad Gita itself is Shruti. So Bhagavad Gita is the Shruti within Smriti, but it's a part of Itihasa itself, which is a Smriti. Now, the purpose. Now there are many different purposes, and based on which part of the life you are on, right? All of us are going through the journey, and somewhere we are in the beginning, someone could be right at the end, someone for whom the life has just changed. What do we need to do? We just need to pick Bhagavad Gita and we will realize Bhagavad Gita. The wisdom in Bhagavad Gita will reveal different meaning to us based on what we are seeking. But it says that Bhagavad Gita will give you the permanent solution to all our suffering and relieve us from all anxieties. Out of all those given there, this is one of the best one I like, right? Nobody in this world would like to be sad, full of suffering. Certainly, I don't want to. Is there anyone who would like to be in suffering? No. But if we read Bhagavad Gita in Krishna promises that all that will go away. Certainly, it will go away, right? And then the 5 topics we have in Bhagavad Gita. This is important. 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita, 5 topics. Ishvara, who is Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the fountain head of everything, Krishna. Jiva, living entity, that's us. Krishna and us. So they are 2 separate things. And we will know a lot about us. Now, what could be more important to anyone? Now, for me, the most important person in my life is me, right? And then, of course, Krishna and how I am related to Krishna. But then we have how this living entity lives within what we call Prakriti, the nature, and we call it material modes of nature. We will see more. And the actions we do, karma, and the time we have in hand. Remember, doesn't matter how long we live, at some point we have to leave this world, right? So Ishwar, God, Jiva, living entity, us, Prakriti, the nature, karma, the actions we do, Kala, the time. These are the 5 topics in Bhagavad Gita, which we are going to do in detail. Now, how to study Bhagavad Gita? There's only one way. Which is with surrenders. We need to surrender. We should not be in a challenging mood. Oh, I'm going to do a debate with someone, and then I'm going to prove it. I know Bhagavad Gita better. Nah. Why are we doing it? We are doing it for our own purification. Remember what we said? We would like to come out of the anxieties. If you see everyone around us these days, especially, is full of fear, full of anxiety. We don't want to do that. Now, I promise you, if you hear Bhagavad Gita, then you will be, doesn't matter how far and wide COVID has gone, you will be fearless. There will not be any anxiety at all. How? Krishna is going to teach that here. The way Krishna did with Arjun, Krishna is going to do for us as well. Now, all right, okay, I'm going to share this with you. Right, the syllabus, as I said, we are going to do 18 chapters in 18 verses. So it's 21 past 10. Remember, I said this is a kind of crash course. So that's why I'm going a bit faster. But I'm looking for the chat. Anybody got any question at this point? No? Okay. Avni says no because Avni got everything, which means we are ready for the next quiz. So the second quiz coming along, and that's based on the introduction which we have just done. And it's there on your screen now. Okay. If I stop sharing, will that make the poll a bit bigger? Maybe. The very first question is, which Purana glorifies the Bhagavad Gita, Gita Mahatmya? Brahma Purana, Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana, Padma Purana. There is a typo there. I think I write Shivan. My daughter's name is Shivani. Maybe she did that. And then the second one, what is the Bhagavad Gita? What is Bhagavad Gita? What is the use of Bhagavad Gita? It's a user manual, essence of all Vedic literature, song sung by God, most widely read Vedic literature. It's a multiple choice. Third question, what scripture Bhagavad Gita is part of? Shruti, Smriti, Puranas, Itihas. There are various combinations, only one answer. The fourth question, what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? The fifth one, what are the topics covered in Bhagavad Gita? And again, multiple choice. Oh, there is a sixth question as well. How to study Bhagavad Gita? Certainly. As you can say, I must have done the questions in hurry. Okay, Haribol. So we got some replies there. If you're on a small device, it might not be feasible. So that's why I don't expect everyone to answer. If you're on your iPhone, on your tablet, it might not be the easiest thing to do, but still you can.
Prabhu, in tablet it works fine.
Oh, it works. Haribol. Thank you so much. Great. So Mataji just confirmed. I think Mataji is on the tablet. So I'm going to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra once, and then I will close the polling. And after that, we will move on. Chapter 1. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. All right, here we go. And I'm going to share the results with everyone now. And there are many varieties there. But the main thing we need to see is if the majority answered correct. Right, the very first answer is Padma Purana. Not Vishnu Purana, Padma Purana. And then the second one, what is Bhagavad Gita? Right? And then there are multiple choices. If you think about it, all of them are correct. All of them are correct. What scripture Bhagavad Gita is part of? Now, if you remember, Shruti or Smriti, Smriti Itihasa, that is actually the correct. So the last one, which got 33%, that is, because it's part of Itihasa, it's not part of Purana. Mahabharata is part of Itihasa, right? Great. And then we go fourth question. What is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? Now again, if you have to make your parents happy, maybe that's why Avni is here. Avni says, oh, my mom is happy. That's why I'm here. That's why Krish Prabhuji got his son sitting there. To earn punya? No. Well, we will earn punya, but that's not the hidden agenda behind it. Ishvara, yes. Okay. To provide a permanent solution to all the suffering and relief. This is the conviction we need to have. And then 5 topics of question 5. Ishvara, Kala, Jiva, Prakriti, and Karma. I think Kala is the only one which is not highlighted in red. Arjuna and Krishna is actually not the topic of Bhagavad Gita. Reason being that Arjun is a student and Krishna is a teacher, right? But what are they discussing? Those are the 5 topics. At no point they will discuss Arjun and Krishna. But Krishna will discuss himself as Ishwar. And Arjun, of course, as Jiva. And then Question 6, how to study Bhagavad Gita. Challenging mood? No, we don't want to do that. Remember facts? No. Faith in Hindu mythology? No, it's not a myth. It's not. Submissive attitude. That's the way we should read it, right? So the last 9 out of 9, 100%. But I think, okay, I left it as a multiple choice. I think that's why others are there. Okay, I'm going to stop that now. Thank you so much in taking part. And now we are ready. I'm going to share the screen. And hopefully by now you can see the next slide. Okay, thank you, Avni. Haribo. All right. So now we are moving to chapter 1. And that is when officially Bhagavad Gita is starting. The chapter 1 title is Observing the Armies. Observing the armies on the battlefield. Now, there are 4 different, if you think about it, the way we can split, we can have 4 different sections of chapter 1. If we will go wider, we can have 2 sections. One, where we are observing the army. We could have the second one where Arjun starts speaking about the reasons why he does not fight. So these could be 2 big ones. But again, we will go a bit deeper in the time given. So we have what we say 1.1, that means chapter 1, verse 1, right? And then it says, beware of your blind spot. We will see what that means. We do have blind spots. If you drive the car, you will understand what blind spots are. These are those spots which usually you don't see because you are blind, you are oblivious, you are not aware of them, but we do need to be aware of them. We always need to be aware of our own blind spots, because a lot of times we point fingers towards others, but we don't realize our fault. Remember, why we are doing it, why we are reading Bhagavad Gita? To purify ourselves, because we would like to get better, not because we want to make others better. Of course, while we are purifying ourselves, if we can purify somebody else, that's even great. Haribo. Sure, Mataji. So 1.2 to 11, that's the second part, which says chapter 1, verse 2 to verse 11. Diplomacy cannot substitute righteousness in gaining victory. And we will see what that means. Diplomacy comes from Duryodhan and righteousness comes from Arjun, Pandavas, and how these 2 parties come together. Chapter 1, verse 3 to verse 6. And we don't have Krishna there. And if you don't have Krishna there, miss Krishna and mess your life. And probably that's where the world is going bad. We are missing Krishna. We have missed Krishna, and that's why we can't have peace in our heart. Now, at the last one, listen to the 4 warnings, and we are going to listen to those 4 warnings. Let's move forward. Now, before I will get to this overview slide, I hope everyone remembers what Bhagavad Gita is. Where was Bhagavad Gita done? Bhagavad Gita is a conversation between Arjun, who is a student, and Krishna, who is the supreme personality of teacher. He's the God. He's the supreme personality of God himself. The conversation is there in between these 2 personalities, right? And they are in the middle of a battlefield. And the battle is between Kauravas and Pandavas. The cousins are fighting. One who are diplomat, Kauravas, and Pandavas who are righteous. Now what we're going to do, partial. The very first verse, and we will see that first verse. I think, yeah, the next slide, we will see the very first verse, where we will see Dhritarashtra, who is the father of Duryodhan, who is the first Kaurava, very first Kaurava, is Duryodhan. And Dhritarashtra is the father, the blind father. Now, just by the verse, the way he's asking question, he's making sure that he's very partial to his own son. And that's one thing we need to learn not to do, not to do. And then we will see the second one, diplomacy, when Duryodhan will start speaking, that how diplomat he is. And the third part of chapter 1 is the signs of victory. Now, before we start, we could see that the signs of victory are there, and anybody could say that Pandavas, they are going to win it. They are going to win it. Just because of those signs, somebody could say, oh, they are going to win it. The fourth one, we could make some more observations about it, right? And then right at the end, Arjun will give 5, well, basically 4, but the fifth one, which will come in the beginning of chapter 2, but he gives 5 reasons why he cannot fight, and he surrenders. He says, I cannot fight. He's going to give up. And that's the end of chapter 1 and the beginning of chapter 2, which we will see next week. But moving forward, so this is the overview of chapter 1, right? Now, this is the very first one, very first verse. Anybody would like to read the verse, either the Sanskrit text or the translation?
Prabhuji, can Shivani read it?
Oh, please. Shivani?
Okay.
धृतराष्ट्रवाच धर्मक्षेत्र कुरुक्षेत्र संवेतायुत्सव मामकाण्डवास् पाण्डवाश्चैव किं कुर्वत् सञ्जय.
Thank you, Aryan. Thank you. And I'm sure Avni would remember that verse very well as well. These are some of those verses which kids memorize. So this is the very first verse where Dhritarashtra is asking, "O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?" So the word used here is Kurukshetra. And Kurukshetra is the place where we could still see, it's a holy place where the battle happened, Mahabharata. And it says, so Dhritarashtra made the distinction between his kids and his brother's kids. And they all were Kurus. But he said, my kids. So that's where we say that he was partial towards his kids. And we can go more. I've attended a seminar just on this one verse. The whole hour was just on this one verse. But for our understanding, what we can say that Dhritarashtra, when the way Dhritarashtra is asking, my sons and Pandu's sons, he's partial. He's partial towards his son. He basically wants to know more about his son, how his son is going to win. So what we say that not only that he was physically blind, he was also mentally blind. Now, what do we get out of it? Remember the reason why we are reading Bhagavad Gītā? So we get the wisdom from Bhagavad Gītā so we can make the better choices in our life. So if we remember the way Dhritarashtra asked this question, when we will ask questions like these, if in case we will have to, then we will be cautious. We will be cautious. And a lot of time this happens in the family that people say, oh, he said it or she said it, right? And this is the third verse where Duryodhan, being diplomat, he starts asking his teacher. And not only asking, he's trying to persuade him with conviction. He says, oh, my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandus, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada. And this is very significant. The way he is saying it, he is giving a mark on his own teacher. That see, your intelligent disciple means you are here to fight these. So even if we will have to, we should. Hare Krishna. Excuse me. So this is where he was very diplomat. Duryodhana was very diplomat. The way he was asking, the way he was speaking to his teachers. We should remember when we speak to our teachers, when we speak to our elders, we should never do that. Never. Excuse me. And then Duryodhana starts giving the names from his army and from the other army. Thank you, Ravibo. He starts giving the names of all the Kshatriyas, the fighters who are there. he doesn't give the name of Krishna. He misses out Krishna. And that's the reason what we said. If we miss Krishna, we mess our life. We should not. We should always remember who is the essence of everything what we get. We should always remember that. And then the names of the conch shells are given. Now, any battle which used to happen, conch shells used to blow, right? Big. What we see here, the names of all. Now, Krishna, Panchand. Now, the name itself, Arjun, Bhim, Yudhishthir, Nakul, Sahadev, all the conch shells, his names are there. Excuse me. So, there's a story behind how Krishna got that conch shell of his, but we don't have enough time to go into story just yet. Maybe at the end, if we have time, we will cover that story. But the name itself of Krishna's conch shell is very significant. The way he got that. Now, more than the names of the conch shells, the name of Krishna, the way it used to go in that age. And again, I'm going to share all the slides. So this slide is one of those which is great to have. Because throughout chapter 1 and even further, rest of the Bhagavad Gītā, the way Arjun addresses Krishna, there are different names. So he calls Krishna. Now, what does Krishna means? Krishna means all attractive. Krishna, very attractive. And then Rishikesha, master of the senses, because someone who has control over all senses. What are we supposed to see? What are we supposed to hear? What are we supposed to taste? We have control over everyone. Somebody who has control over all the senses, you can refer that person as Rishikesha, Madhava, Achyuta, Madhusudana, Govinda, Vasudeva. Now, all these names, they have significance. And on the right-hand side, you can see in the table the meanings. Now, right at the bottom, you see the last four. These are the names of Arjuna now. The last one is before Bhim, but the three above, Dhananjay, the conqueror of wealth, right? Because he went to Indra and he fought for Kuber as well. Kuber is the lord of wealth. Oh, Partha, because Pritha was the name of his mother. And the way we are related, we are referred in. And then there's another one, and this is another famous name of Arjuna, Gunakesha, one who conquers sleep, because he could fight even in the darkness, in night. He had control over his sleep. Now think about it. When we have to study for our classes, we feel, if you ask somebody to read Bhagavad Gītā, Bhagavatam, probably this is one of the best things to put somebody on sleep these days, right? But Arjun was such an elevated student that he had conquered even sleep. And that's how we are supposed to be. Now, any question at this point, please?
Have you got for Radha as well?
Hare Krishna Mataji, not in here, no.
Okay.
I will cover that if you like, but Radha Rani ji is out of scope, to be honest, especially when it comes to, it's one of those which is very confidential. But yes, I can share a lecture where Maharaj ji, he has explained a lot more about Radha Rani ji. I can share that.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you. All right, okay. If I'm not wrong, at this point, we can go and we can do a quick quiz, right? So if you are ready, you should see the questions on your screen. There are 5 questions. What do we learn from first verse of Bhagavad Gita? Whose name was missing from Duryodhan's list? What is the name of Krishna's counsel? What is the meaning of Krishna? What is the meaning of Guna Kesha? Okay, well, good to see. There are four who, well, five, six. Everybody seems to, seven. Everybody seems to have replied correctly. Okay, just few more. Okay. I think somebody just gave one wrong answer, but that's the whole point of the quiz. Not to get the correct answers, but to find out that we don't have the wrong answers. Because if you have wrong answers, we better get it corrected. Because I appreciate I might be going a bit faster. Thank you so much, Janvi ji. You have asked a question in the chat that can we conquer our sleep? Theoretically, yes. Practically, no. What does that mean? That means Krishna says that if you can reach to that level, then you can. But can we reach to that level? So I will try to say that we don't need to. We don't need to be as vivid as Arjun, right? We are in much luckier. Well, we are much lucky than Arjun. So we don't need to conquer. However, yes, if we need 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, or based on our job, if somebody got a heavy physical job, then maybe a bit more. But even if we have 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, I will say for us, we have conquered. Here we go. Pooja Mataji says that Prabhupada says 6 hours sleep is okay. Yes, completely, yeah, completely. Great. Hare Krishna. Nice. So yes, for us, when we say we can conquer sleep, what does that mean? That means that we should not sleep more than required, right? I'm going to end the poll here. Hare Krishna. And I'm going to share the results with you. And if you did, if your answer is highlighted in blue, that means you got that wrong. And this is just so we know the correct answer. If your answer is highlighted in blue, then it's a wrong answer. Hare Krishna. My apologies, I'm drinking water, having class, but I got a bit of cough. So please forgive me for that. All right, okay. I guess Hare Krishna, everyone got that. I'm going to stop sharing results. Thank you, Haribo. So now moving forward. Now, as I said, the third part of chapter 1 is where we say signs of victory. There were some signs of victory given there. And most of the time we have it. Now again, remember why we are reading Bhagavad Gita? So we get this wisdom, and this wisdom will help us to make the decisions in life. Now I was chatting with someone yesterday who wanted to make the decision after his 10th, after his, let's say, GCSE in his A level, which stream he should go to, whether he should take science, he should go commerce, he should take arts, whether he should take physics, or he should take computers. Now the knowledge in Bhagavad Gita, the approach, the attitude will help you to do that as well. Now whether you should play basketball or you should play table tennis, maybe Bhagavad Gita knowledge will help you in that as well. But Bhagavad Gita knowledge is not really for that, because there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? And what we are talking here is the transcendental wisdom we have. Haribo. Okay, Shavita Mataji has asked the question, and certainly I will come back to that question in a bit, Mataji. It's very relevant question. It will come there. Haribol. So signs of victory there. Now, what were the signs? The very first sign that somebody is going to win, because Krishna himself was there with Pandavas. So we knew that Pandavas going to win because Krishna is there, right? And then where Krishna is there, Lakshmi ji. Lakshmi is the wife, the consort of Krishna. So if Lakshmi is there, Krishna is there, how this person could lose anything? Now this was happening, the battle was happening in Kurukshetra. And Kurukshetra is the holy place. So Kurukshetra is going to help whoever is holy, whoever is virtuous, whoever is righteous. And then the chariot of Arjuna was given by, anybody knows? By Agni Dev. So we have Agni, the fire, the demigod who takes care of fire, Agni Dev, Vayu Dev, Varun Dev, right? Kubeir, all these are demigods. So Agni Dev, he gave, because Arjun went to Swarg, to heaven, number of times for the battle, for demigods. And when he went there for Indra once, then Agni Dev gave him the chariot. And it was one of those which will never destroy. And there were many other qualities listed there. There are 9 qualities actually there. And then the conch shell itself was a transcendental, right? And then one which is very prominent and very nice, I really, really like it. And again, there is a story behind it, but we don't have the time for that story either. And I'm just giving you the gist of it, that if you could make time for the regular classes, then you might be able to hear the glories of these stories. Hanumanji was there on the flag of Arjun's chariot. And why he was there is a whole pastime behind it. But that was another sign that Hanumanji made Lord Ram to victory, and he was here helping Arjuna as well. And these were the signs of victory given in chapter 1. Birds of the same feather. Okay, we will come back. Right. But now I'm conscious of the time as well. Now this is the last bit of chapter 1, where Arjuna starts describing that Krishna, I think I cannot fight. But before he says I cannot fight, he doesn't say I cannot fight. He puts his argument together. He's very clever, very smart. Remember, he's Arjuna, right? He gives reasons one by one. And the way I remember that, and this helps me to remember, this might help you as well. I remember through acronyms. So C, D, E, F. C, D, E, F, and then I say I cannot fight. C, D, E, F, I cannot fight. So there are 5. C, D, E, F, I. C for compassion. Arjun says, I have compassion for these people. How many people are 60 million odd people going to die? I have compassion for all these. And of course, then he says, if all of them gonna die, with whom I'm going to enjoy? Now imagine if you want to play video game, if you want to go for a movie, right? We always seek association. We don't want to go alone. We don't want to play alone. We want somebody else. Like in the kids, like Shivani had a play date yesterday, right? Because we want to play together with our friends. And that's what Arjun says. If everyone going to die here and I will become the king, or I will have all this, with whom I will enjoy. And this is what we should remember that as well. Sharing is caring. If we will share with others, we have people to care about, and we have people to play and enjoy with. We cannot enjoy it together. We are what we call as social human beings, right? So C for compassion, right? I skipped. D for destruction. Then of course he says the family tradition is getting destroyed. Now all the males here going to die. What will happen? All the husbands going to die. What will happen to their wives? Who is going to support them? Who are going to support their children? The family tradition comes from grandfather to father to the children. If the grandfather not there, if the father not there, who is going to give the family tradition? So the destruction of family tradition will be there. So C for compassion, D for destruction of family tradition, E for enjoyment, C, D, E, and F. F is the fear. Fear of what? Fear of sinful reactions. He says, I can't kill my teacher, I can't kill my grandsire, my grandfather, my cousins, my relatives. Not only that, I have compassion for all the human beings, but if I will kill my seniors, my teachers, it's a fear of sinful reaction I'm going to get. C for compassion, D for destruction, E for enjoyment, F for fear. And because of that, then in chapter 2, right in the beginning, Arjun says, I am indecisive, I cannot fight. These are the 5 reasons Arjun going to give. If you think about it, don't we do the same? These are the excuses we give. And that's why Bhagavad Gītā is so important. That's why the wisdom in Bhagavad Gītā is so important. Because all these questions, and now these are the excuses he is giving. 2.6, he will say indecisive. 2.7 is very important. We will see next week. And then Arjun is going to ask so many questions. The whole conversation is a question answer dialogue between Arjun and Krishna. And we are going to learn a lot out of it, because all these questions Arjun is asking on our behalf, right? So remember, whenever we will give an excuse, think if there is an Arjun within us thinking of all that, giving those excuses, not to fight. Fight? Because fight, being a Kshatriya, was his duty. Like for students, the duty is to study. For Grihastha, the duty is to take care of the family. At this point, we come back to the very first slide where we started, where we say the very first thing is the blind spot about Dhritarashtra, that Dhritarashtra didn't realize that he's partial towards his own sons, and of course his brother sons, Pandavas, because they all were Kurus. Right? Then Duryodhana's diplomacy, and then Pandavas' signs of victory. And then Duryodhana missed Krishna from his list. He mentioned everyone, the great personalities, but he missed Krishna. We don't want to miss Krishna. Krishna was the most important person then, and he is the most important person now, even if we won't able to see him or feel him, but he is. Now the last one where Arjun starts giving all the excuses. C, D, E, F. Compassion, destruction, enjoyment, fear, I, indecision, I cannot fight. Right? Before we do the next quiz, any questions anyone got? I have one question in the chat from Mataji. May anyone else got any questions, please? Okay. If not, let me initiate the next quiz, which is coming now. What we have just discussed based on that. And there are 5 questions there. The very first one, what were the signs of victory of Pandavas? It's multiple choice. So keep going. You can pick 1, 2, 3, or you can pick all if you want. And the second question is, by whom Arjuna's chariot was given? Varun Dev, Agni Dev, Krishna, Kuber. The third question, what is the acronym for Arjun's 5 reasons of not fighting? IIT, MIT, Google, SCORN, ISBT, CDEFI. This just helps us to remember things. And this is what we could say strategically when we read the scriptures, it's very easy to remember. Hare Krishna. And then what is the name of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gītā? Observing the armies. Somebody said, I'm not saying that's the correct answer. Did I give the correct answer? And then the last question is, what's the name of the second chapter of Bhagavad Gītā? Didn't I mention that? Maybe not yet. Okay. If I haven't, I've just stopped the sharing and I'm going to start the sharing again. So you can see this slide. And in this slide, you can see same Arjun's reasons and then what happens in chapter 2. This is a summary of chapter 1. And moving forward, we are going to summarize chapter 2. Chapter 2 is the summary of whole Bhagavad Gita. And that's why I will request everyone to be on time for next session where we can start. Now, Shavita Mataji, I still have your question and I will come back to it. Before that, Pooja Mataji is asking, where are you based? Where am I based? I'm here in South London, Mataji. I'm here in Sutton in South London, UK. But these days, we are available online. So we are in the association. Hare Krishna. I'm going to end the poll now. And
I have another question. You're doing other classes, you said deeper classes. When do you do those?
I will share the details, Mataji. I will let
Okay.
you know. Hare Krishna. And I will share the results with you as well. And if you see the results, you can see the question, first question, right. It was multiple choice and multiple choice makes it hard. Now I can give you the answers or I can request you to read chapter 1. And when you read chapter 1, you will know what the correct answer is, right? Or this recording, I'm not going to share the link. And then you will know about it. Okay, now Ajay Kale is a good friend. Ajay ji, namaskar. Hare Krishna. Ajay is asking, when did Gita take place? Okay, the conversation was roughly 5,000 years back. Now the correct, I think it says 4,674 years roughly. But we can say around 5,000 years back, Bhagavad Gita happened. The dialogue of Bhagavad Gita happened between Krishna and Arjuna. Right. Okay. Haribol. So Mataji, Shavita Mataji, coming back to your question, I'm going to stop sharing the results now. Haribol. I will share the correct answers if you like. But again, I'm conscious of the time and I'm only left with 1 minute. So Shavita Mataji, maybe I will come back to your question personally, right? There's a list from Bhagavad Gita. And the question is from Mataji, does our names have disciple succession connections? Yes, they do. Not all the names, like my name is Varunapati Govinda Das. In short, I've said VP Govinda, so we take the name of the Lord Govinda. But yes, we do have the connections there. And if we have Bhagavad Gita as it is, and I will share the link with you, Veda base. If you just put Veda base, VEDABASE in Google, then you will get Bhagavad Gita as it is. And right at the end of introduction, you will get a list. And in that list, you can see the full list of succession disciple. Okay, great. Haribol. Okay. Shraddha has asked another question. Right. I appreciate the time is 11 now. However, so anybody would like to leave, feel free. However, I'm still here if anybody any questions. The only thing I have before, and I will reply back to the answers which are coming in the chat, which is great. But the only thing I have left is to do the last quiz. And this is the feedback of today's session. And there are only 3 questions there. So there are only 3 questions there. Feel free to go for it. Okay. While you're reading it, I will read some of the questions. Okay. So when did the Gita? Okay, that was roughly 5,000 years back. It will be useful to know how long the discussion took place. Discussion, the conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, it was only 45 minutes. But the time scale then and time scale now is a bit different, right? If you haven't heard about it, then yes, it was very different than now. Brahmaji's time and ours time, the Kalyug time, the Satyug time, Treta, Dwapar, the time, the relevance is very, very different. And again, remember, it all happened in the form of a song in Sanskrit in the verses. And if you have memorized the verses, you will see how quick it goes. And but this used to be the language then, right? So it was 45 minutes, as it says. And then there is a prediction of Avatar in Kali Yuga time. Yes, Lord Kali is going to come very soon. That's right. Varanasi. Yes, that's right. Janvi ji, thank you. And okay, Shraddha is asking the question, what is the proof that Bhagavad Gita has actually written? What is the proof? What I will say, Shraddha, think of this way. I will not give any proof. Let's say there is no proof at all that Bhagavad Gita happened, right? Let's think of this. Well, I know you personally. I know your background is coming from chartered accountancy, and I did engineering, and they could be medical. When we go there, we read in the universities all the books we have. Or like as I said, well, take this example, take this analogy, or take the example where we buy the car or we buy any electric or electronic devices. So we get the device, and then along with the device, we get the manual, right? Now, what is the proof? Well, I was there in Yorkshire, and there's a saying, the proof is in the pudding, which means that there's no proof which will convince you theoretically, verbally. Let's take it practically, that use what it says, use the wisdom from Bhagavad Gita and see if it makes sense and see if it helps you making decision in your life. I think that will be the proof of it, right? If you think that Bhagavad Gita did not happen, no worries. Consider that is the manual somebody put together. Now, I'm elder than you. I'm saying this to Shraddha because I know her. So let's say I have put it together and I'm giving you this. Use this, you will able to be happy. Excuse me. And in that respect, you can think about. Now, again, all those things we will discuss going forward, they are going to be very practical. Like, think of the reasons which Krishna gave, Arjun gave to Krishna. Compassion. Don't we have it? Don't we have this? Another, and I'm checking, shall I check? One of, when we did Bhagavad Gita during lockdown, there was a friend of mine who was there, and he said, well, he's there actually, currently. And he said, he gave me an example where two brothers fought for the property dispute. And while having it, one brother was thinking, he had compassion for his brother, whether I should do it or I should not do it because he's my brother. Exactly same thing what 5,000 years back Arjuna thought of it. The same excuse Arjuna had it. Now, why I say excuse rather than the valid reasons, because what Krishna is going to reply back in chapter 2. Krishna is going to counter each and everything, every excuse what Arjuna has given in chapter 1. So in proof in sense, there are many proof. For example, Kurukshetra is there. You can check the Kurukshetra. There are many things which I've said here. Many stories are there. We can go and check for it. But again, for you, somebody who is very practical, very modern these days, just take it what Krishna says to Arjun. Arjun, do this. And you do the same thing in your life and see. I can give you my personal example. I can give you many examples. I know Krish Prabhuji is there sitting in the car. I can take his example. And there are so many of those you will meet. Bhagavad Gita has changed their life. How? Following the wisdom given in Bhagavad Gita. That's it. And that is the proof. That is the proof. Now, whether that proof is going to work for you, it's like a CA, an engineering student, a medical student, whether we will follow this, what's written in the book, whether we become the great engineer, great accountant, great doctor, whether yes, it based on the teacher. Sorry, it based on the student. Teacher is valid, there is no doubt, because many others got benefit out of it. There is no doubt in the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, because many got benefit out of it. As a student, whether we can try it. What I will say, 18 sessions, one session you have made it, take 17 more sessions. And after that, I will ask the same question from you. That do you think that wisdom given in Bhagavad Gītā is real, practical? Could you implement in your life? If you say yes, I will say, Hari Bol, take it forward. If you say no, I will say, no worries. Next year, I will do the similar session again. I will invite you again. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, everyone. If there is any other question, any other final comment, my apologies. I was there answering the questions. And let me end the poll as well. Hare Krishna. I'm quite happy to take any other questions there. Otherwise, I'm going to stop the recording now. I will share the link, and more than happy to take any questions now or later. Most of you know me personally, either directly or through somebody. And I'm going to share the recording. Hope to see you next time along same time, Sunday, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Navneet. So good to see you. Hare Hare Bol. Thank you.